Today we are talking about heavy metals and the 8 places that they could be hiding in your life that you just don't even know about. You could have inhaled your heavy metals today, you could have ingested your heavy metals, and you would have no idea. I got inspired to talk about this today because I saw a post about a woman who had mercury toxicity after using skin whitening creams. And the mercury was actually not even disclosed on her bottle of cream. And there are so many ways that we are exposed to heavy metals, and I'd like to go over those today. Heavy metals can lead to a lot of health problems. I see heavy metals in a lot of my eczema and psoriasis patients, but there are so many other symptoms that heavy metals can toxicity can cause, such as brain fog, anxiety, depression, headaches, aches and pains, arthritis, autoimmune disease. The types of symptoms and conditions that heavy metal toxicity can cause are really so numerous, too numerous to list here. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, doesn't the government protect us and make sure that everything that we are exposed to is low in heavy metals? And yes, there are some really good things that the government does there, but there are so many places we have low levels of heavy metal exposure, and that low level exposure on a daily basis really starts to build up and accumulate and really can cause problems over long periods of time. So when I do these tests for my patients, I really often find that there are a lot of places that we are finding heavy metals, and we are finding these heavy metals in our patients. The testing that I do for testing for heavy metals, I might do a urine test where I'm going to use a chelator, something like DMSA or other chelators to pull out the heavy metals, and then it spits out into your urine, and then we collect that urine for 6 hours. I might do a poop test. We can also see those heavy metals in the stool, and I may do a hair test, and I also may do a blood test. And in all those different samples, we might find different types of heavy metals. So sometimes I like to actually do all of the above just to cover all of my bases depending on what someone is dealing with. But there are so many places that we can really find these heavy metals that we just don't know about. And I'd like to go over a list of 8 places today and what you can do to also overcome that. So one of the first places is your seafood. If you are eating high mercury fish, this can be a big problem. So EWG has a really great resource where you can actually use their seafood guide, and you can input all of your information, and it will actually spit out a really beautiful list of high mercury, low mercury seafoods, fish and other seafoods included that you can consume. So that's a really important place to look. Air pollution. Air pollution is also a big deal, especially if you live in an area with a lot of industrial chemicals and things like that, then you'll want to pay attention to that. The way that you can help this in your home is make sure you have a really good air filtration system in the home. I like the Air Doctor, and I can also, soon I'll be posting a link where you guys can access some of these products that I recommend, but air pollution is another big one that you might have exposure in your home and something you can do something about. Tap water. I actually did a live about this a couple weeks ago. Tap water is another big place. EWG also has a really great resource here where you can actually look up your tap water. If you just go to Google and you put EWG tap water database, you can actually look up your tap water and see how toxic your tap water is. I find that a lot of tap water have like a lot of different exposures, but heavy metal wise, I see a lot of arsenic and uranium. in tap water. And so you want to make sure to use a filtration system that will definitely clear those out. In terms of drinking water, I like reverse osmosis filters. In terms of shower water, you want to make sure to also be filtering your shower water. Another important thing to think about when it comes to the water situation is you want to make sure to just let your water run first thing in the morning. Just make sure like the first quart of water just kind of gets through, and you don't consume that or use it for showering, because even while the water is just sitting there overnight, that can also cause a problem as well too, where nickel and other metals will leak into that water. Okay. Other places are amalgams. Your amalgams are heavy metal fillings, and heavy metal fillings are made up of 50% mercury. So if you have them, if your mom had them, your mom could be transferring those heavy metals to you when you were in her womb via the placenta or via breast milk. If you are breastfeeding and you have a child who has eczema or any other conditions, potentially you're bringing that heavy metal into your baby if you have those amalgams. So I would recommend looking into working with a biological dentist. A biological dentist is kind of like myself. I'm a naturopathic doctor, so I am a licensed doctor, but I'm trained in really holistic medicine in addition to conventional medicines. Biological dentists are the same. A really good resource there is iabdm.org. That's a really good resource for finding a biological dentist near you. Another place you will want to look is your food. So one place is like root vegetables, and those can sometimes contain, because of the soil, can contain a little bit more heavy metals. Now, it doesn't mean you want to avoid the root vegetables necessarily, but in moderation, or a nice mix of vegetables is always good. If you're only eating root vegetables, this could be problematic, in terms of there being a little bit more heavy metal in the soil. Another place you want to look is rice, and rice can contain high levels of arsenic. And your best bet is going to be California organic basmati rice. That will be pretty low in your arsenic. I like the company called Lundberg, and so that's an option for you if you do like to eat rice. I have had patients who had high levels of arsenic eating a lot of rice and thinking they're doing a great thing for themselves being gluten-free, but then the rice is causing problems. Okay. Other places are like your lead pipes, lead paint. If you live in a home older than 1978, those are other places that you might be able to find lead. And if you think about nickel, we can see that in your cutlery. So like spoons and forks and all of that, especially in eczema, I find a lot of high nickel levels in my eczema patients. And, even stainless steel pans, pots and pans, if you're cooking really acidic food on that, nickel can come out of those pots and pans. You do want to think about what you are using to cook. Stainless steel tends to be a better choice, especially avoiding things like PFOAs and things like that in like a Teflon nonstick. I do like ceramic in terms of pots and pans, and I do like the company Extrema, and they are fully ceramic pot and pans. So these are all places that really we can find hidden heavy metals in our life. And in my program, the Cleanbody program, this is what we try to do, is we try to hunt and search for these potential heavy metals and other toxins, like even environmental toxins and mold toxins and other types of toxins that you could be harboring in your system that are wreaking havoc on your system, and you just don't even know about it. So this article that kind of spurred this whole IG Live was really interesting. If you actually, it's a CNN article, and really interesting in terms of, woman was using these skin whitening creams, didn't know that that it had mercury in there, and then she lost her peripheral vision, which will never come back probably. And not only was she affected, but because she had been putting the creams on and it was probably on her hands, they actually found that her kids had some levels of mercury. They found it like in her laundry and other places, like on her clothes. Like they found it in different places in her home. And I think that we can have these exposures and not know it. And so the article is really interesting, talking about how a lot of times just people don't know about this. And in specifically, if you're using skin lightening creams, then really be careful with that, because there's a lot of toxic components, including mercury, and there's even hydroquinone and other things that are also toxic. But, this kind of spurred on this conversation, but there are so many other places that there are hidden heavy metals that you could be exposed to. And even though one place might not be giving you, a crazy amount of heavy metals, the constant small exposure of those heavy metals can really cause a problem. Other places like aluminum in your deodorant, if you're using regular deodorant, if you're using like a secret deodorant or something like that, there's aluminum in there, and that's problematic too. So this is one of the things we do is we'll do some testing to see, what toxins are really wreaking havoc on your system if you are having any chronic symptoms. And then from there, we kind of need to figure out, well, where are you getting this exposure? And I need to answer that question is, are you getting it from a current exposure? Are you getting it from a past exposure? And it doesn't have to be that you're currently exposed to that heavy metal or that toxin right now. So that's another thing people don't understand is you feel like, okay, well, I'm going to, be exposed to this toxin and my body will just get rid of it. And eventually what I like to say is your funnel just fills all the way up. And when it starts filling up, it starts to overflow. And that's where we can really see problems. And that's where you'll really start to develop certain symptoms. And with heavy metals, my population, especially, I see a lot of skin conditions, but I also see fatigue, brain fog, headaches, muscle aches and pains, autoimmune disease, thyroid conditions, hormone imbalances, all of the above, because these heavy metals will bind to places that they're not supposed to bind, and cause problems in those places. They're called endocrine disruptors. So you want to be searching for these, in your household. Make sure you're cleaning up and educating yourself as much as you can. If you're just getting here, I will be posting this and you can replay this. I did give a couple of examples of where to look for heavy metals that are hidden and how to fix those in your life as well too. Okay, so this is a really important topic. If you want to do our assessment, we actually do have a free assessment, which will just kind of see how full your funnel is. It'll ask you a bunch of questions about your exposures so you can see how many exposures you have. That is in the link in my bio, and it's free assessment. And I actually have a video after you complete that assessment of me just explaining that assessment to you so that you understand what all of it means. And this is really getting down to the root cause, is really understanding all of the different factors that might be involved and really putting pressure and burden on your system. And then everything starts overflowing and then you get the symptoms that you might be experiencing. So this is a really important one, these hidden heavy metals. I'd love to open it up to any questions. And I did get some questions regarding eczema that I can also answer. I did see that there were some questions that came through that I wasn't able to answer because I was going on about my spiel. So if you wanted to type those in again to the comments, I'm happy to answer those now. Otherwise, let's see. Someone was asking, what are the best foods to consume for eczema? And I would say, first of all, eating a whole foods diet, really avoiding processed foods is really important. Anything packaged, I would say whole foods, just really, really real foods. You're getting that good nutrition. There would be foods I would avoid. Inflammatory foods like gluten and dairy and sugar would be the top of my list. And for me, everybody needs a different diet. Every single person. We cannot really, and I would actually, more than a diet, I would call it a nutrition plan. I really don't like to do diets. I like to say, okay, what is the most optimal plan for you? So really, it's kind of different for everybody, but those would be some of the key factors, I would say. When we do a lab test, do you send out a kit to do the test, or do we get a lab order and go to Quest? Okay, so if we decide to work together, if you decide to do a discovery consultation with me, which by the way, right now we have a Cyber Monday sale, which is expiring tonight at midnight, where you do get $100 off of that discovery consultation. And if you decide to join us, we will also give you an additional discount to put towards the program. So if you want to take advantage of that, you can click the link in my bio, book a consultation, and then just use the code Cyber Monday. If you decide to do that and we decide to work together, the lab tests. I like to use Quest for my functional lab tests. Those are the blood tests that'll tell me a little bit about your health, like your liver, your gallbladder, your kidney, your lipids, that kind of thing. For everything else, I will send you a kit. So we might send you a poop kit, a couple poop kits, some urine kits, etc. And I like to check a lot of different markers to really understand the health of your system. And so I'm using a couple different things if we're going to do some testing, okay? And hope that answers your question. All right, and someone's asking, is a plant-based diet recommended? And this is the same answer that I have. Everybody is different. Some people do really well on a plant-based diet. Some people don't do as well on a plant-based diet. There are some theories there. There's a theory of blood type, where certain blood types do better. Let's say like a blood type A does better with a vegetarian diet, and a blood type O is better as a carnivorous diet. But I would say that we still can't separate everyone into 4 groups. So some people do really well on a plant-based diet, some people don't. And so we have to just kind of figure that out for the individual. In general, though, I would say taking out things like gluten, dairy, sugar, red meat tend to be really good for an eczema person, because they just lower the inflammation if you take those foods out. So I think that's one thing across the board that I really have found. Okay. What causes KP with eczema and ways to prevent it? So KP is keratosis pilaris. For those of you guys who don't know, it's where there's a little bit of keratin buildup and you get little bumps all over the skin. And actually, cause-wise, conventionally, we don't really understand why this happens. In my opinion, the funnel is overflowing, right? So as I always say, the detox funnel is overflowing. And so you're getting just a lot of congestion in the system. You're getting a lot of lymphatic congestion in the system, and you're getting a lot of miscommunication in the system and a lot of inflammation. And so that could potentially lead to the symptoms of keratosis pilaris. I also find that often when a liver and a gallbladder is really congested, if someone's having like constipation or yellow poops or floating poops or things like that, I notice that associated with keratosis pilaris. And I think that can really have a direct relation as well too. So, at the end of the day, it's important to get down to the root cause always. So, and that to me is really cleaning up that funnel. Okay. If you guys want to learn more about cleaning up the funnel, I do a live masterclass, and I will be doing one next week. I also have a replay of my last live masterclass if you guys want to watch that, so you guys can just kind of understand a little more about this theory I have called the detox funnel theory. And also, if you want to check out our website, we have a lot of information there as well too. All right. Is eczema a condition that we always live for, or once we get it treated, it goes away? Great question. So I was born with eczema. I had extremely severe eczema. At one point, I had TSW when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I couldn't use topical steroids anymore. So I had topical steroid withdrawal is what it's called. It's also called red skin syndrome. And it's been about 9 years, and I am completely eczema free, have been so for 9 years. I have never had any spots of eczema ever come back. And in my practice, the way that I like to treat it is we get down to the root cause so much that it's never a problem for you anymore. And if it continues to pop up, it just means you're just not done. You're not done with the process of cleaning up and really supporting your system. And I myself, and then I've supported people who have just cleared this disease completely in terms of eczema. Okay. So yes, I believe, first of all, because I have experienced it, that that you can become completely eczema free. And I think the question is just, how long is that going to take? Do we have all of the puzzle pieces to do that correctly? And if we do have all those puzzle pieces, then we can get that done. All right. Do you have any experience with a TRS spray to remove heavy metals? Yeah, I have used that. I have had patients who came to me and had been using it, so I am familiar with it. And I do think it's a useful tool in clearing heavy metals. It's one tool. There's so many tools that you can use, and it's really important to work with a naturopathic doctor or functional medicine practitioner to make sure that you're doing this safely, because with heavy metal chelation and heavy metal detoxification, you want to make sure that you're not just taking it out of the system and then having it circulate right back in, and you can have really heavy detox symptoms if you don't know what you're doing. So I do highly recommend you work with someone like myself or a naturopathic doctor or functional medicine practitioner. Okay. I do offer a discovery consultation, and that discovery consultation allows me to meet you and really hear your story. And I will, based on your story, I'll kind of say, okay, and also you'll take an assessment as well too. I'll say, okay, these are the places that you might need some testing so we can really rule out, these toxicities or these dysfunctions. I'll create that hypothesis for us so that you really know what you're getting into in terms of testing and then also treatment. And we are offering that special right now, the Cyber Monday special, where you get $100 off the discovery consultation. If you do decide to join us, we are just for today, if you decide to join us, and that code does expire tonight at midnight, we are offering $500 off any program or package that you buy if you decide to join us. So make sure to take advantage of that if you are interested in learning about what might be the root causes of your condition. What does the testing look like? What does the treatment look like? That's what we would get into in the discovery consultation. If you do want to do that, you can click the link in my bio, click book consultation, and then just make sure to use that code Cyber Monday. If you do use the code Cyber Monday, then if you do decide to join us, then you will also get an additional $500 off any program or package that you choose. Okay? All right, great. And any other questions? There was another question. A substitute for steroid creams to control itching at night. Now, this is a really good question. And this is a very hard question to just kind of answer as a blanket statement. Steroid creams, of course, are going to be really good at turning off the itching, because they're going to just lower all that inflammation. There's a lot of other ways we can do that, but it is very specific to each person, because I think every person has a reason they're getting really itchy at night. So I like to address it and hit it from multiple fronts, and not just a topical front. I like to hit it from an internal front, topical, and even other things that you can do to help with that at night. So it's hard to answer this kind of across the board. And if I work with someone, then I really kind of work with them as an individual and really figure this out and customize it for them. Okay. Last question here. Why does the same area of my body flare after healing? That's a really great question. And there could be a lot of answers for this as well too. I do find with eczema, a lot of the places we get eczema are actually places we have a lot of like lymphatic system. So that's one answer there. Like I would always get a lot like around here and around my neck, like around this lymphatic chain here, and right back here too, right by my ears here. If you have eczema, sometimes people have like weeping in these areas, and I would get that. And that was because my lymphatic system was just super congested. If you guys don't know what your lymphatic system is, it's a network of vessels in your body. It's kind of like your cardiovascular system, but instead of blood pumping through the cardiovascular system, it is lymph pumping through the lymphatic system. And I want you to think of your lymphatic system kind of like a garbage disposal. It's kind of cleaning everything up as the cells release debris. It's cleaning all of that up. And so for an eczema patient, oftentimes you might see the eczema in those places. So that's one way I see that happening. And there's lots of other reasons. Like if you're having contact dermatitis, it might be that you keep putting your watch in the same place. And watches, by the way, another source of nickel that you might want to pay attention to. If you're getting a rash around your watch, that could be another source of nickel, by the way, hidden source of heavy metal there. Okay, so there's lots of reasons for that, and if we work together and we do a discovery consult, actually that's one of the things. I'm going to look at your skin. You're going to take pictures of it, and then I'm going to say, okay, based on what I see and my clinical knowledge, I'm going to say, you know, I think this might be a root cause, and where the eczema is, like when it's around the mouth, often there's a huge gut component, for example, you know, and when it's on those lymphatic places, it usually means a lot of lymphatic congestion. So those are some of the clues that when you guys show me the pictures and I can see where it's actually at. Okay. All right. I'd love to open it up to any last questions before we head out. Thank you so much. If you're just getting here, today we talked about hidden heavy metals. Where can you find heavy metals in your daily life that you really don't know about? And there's a lot of them. And even just right now, I have a couple other that just came to mind, like even like baking powders can often have aluminum in them, you know, so there's lots of different places that we have these hidden heavy metal exposures. So very important to make sure that you know about those, educate yourself, and clean them up. All right. All right. Thank you so much. And if you did miss it, you know, we are having a Cyber Monday sale. Just make sure to take advantage of that if you are interested in doing any kind of testing for yourself and really understanding how to get down to the root cause. That is in my last post, and that does expire tonight at midnight. All right. All right, everyone. I hope that you use this information wisely and start cleaning up the heavy metals that are hidden in your lifestyle. All right. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.